Welcome back to the Wargrove of Woe. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the two new Stormcast Dragons. And these are the big dragons, not the little dragons. And they're both named the Krondys and Karazai. They're both really powerful, and they both serve a pretty good niche. You can definitely build some really interesting lists around these guys. So without further ado, let's get started. First up is Krondys, son of Dracolith. Or Dracothian, excuse me. They come in at 600 points, which is a fairly steep price, but they make up for it with a lot of useful tools. They have a degrading move chart that starts at 14. They have 10 bravery, a massive 18 wounds, 3 up save, and then Krondys has 2 casts and 2 unbinds. They have 3 melee profiles, Apex Maw, a 2-inch reach, 4 attacks, 3s to hit, and then a degrading chart for wounds that starts at auto wound, 2 rend, 3 damage each. Drake Lord Talons, it's 1-inch reach, 3 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 2 rend, 2 damage. And then Calamitous Tail, 3-inch reach, and then the attack characteristic is however many models are within 3 inches of Krondys. 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 2 rend, 2 damage. The missile profile is Blazing Tempest. It is a breath attack with an 18-inch reach, and so you target one enemy unit, and then you roll a dice. On a 1 to 2, they suffer 1 mortal wound. 3 to 4, it's D3. 5 to 6, D6. Next is their unique magic spell. They have a really good one. It is Advastic Tempest. It has a cast value of 9, a reach of 24. You pick one enemy within reach and select one of the effects from below. You can give them a -1 to all their hit rolls. You can worsen their rend by 1. You can give them a -1 to ranged attack characteristics to a minimum of 1, or you can give them a -1 to save. So a really powerful debuff spell that can fit in almost every situation. Definitely very powerful. For unique abilities, the Krondys gives enemies that attack him a -1 to their attack characteristic. So if you have a model or unit with lots of attacks, this can really hamper their effectiveness. There's the Calamitous Tail, which I've talked about, and then the Regalia Fumitorius. You get a degrading amount of bonuses to your casting roll. So that pretty high casting value of 9 isn't all that bad with the pluses that start at 3, which is really powerful. Gives you a pretty consistent spellcaster with Krondys. And of course, they're a dragon, they can fly. So for the battlefield role, Krondys is a great spellcaster. They have an amazing, versatile debuff unique spell. They're tanky, and they are great at reducing enemy effectiveness. It's a really good mixed character. The spells and melee capabilities, I think Krondys is pretty great. Definitely a consideration for all you Stormcast players out there. Before we move on to Krondys' brother, I would like to give a thank you to our Patreon supporters, especially Nick Hoff, the Spirit of Dorothy tier patron. Without my Patreon supporters, it would be a little bit harder for me to upload as regularly as I do. It's a great thing to have, and I appreciate you guys very much. Additionally, if you want to be a part of the community, we have a Discord channel that is completely free. There's a link in the description, so if you want to just come and hang out, there is that. We have 2 community events going on right now, a monthly painting competition, as well as a TTS community night coming up soon. So if these things interest you, go ahead and join the Discord, and I'll see you there. Next up is Karazai, the Scarred. This guy comes in at 600 points as well, and they have a whole lot of very similar abilities or stats, but Karazai has a lot of focus on melee combat. So we'll get into that. For stat line, they have the exact same stat line. Karazai starts at 14-inch move, 10 bravery, 18 wounds, and a 3-up save. The only difference is they don't have any casting or unbinding rolls. For melee profiles, they have the Annihilating Jaws, 2-inch reach, 6 attacks, 3s to hit, degrading chart for wounds that starts at auto wound, 2 rend, 3 damage, Ruinous Talons, a 1-inch reach, 4 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 2 rend, 2 damage, And then the Calamitous Tail, it's the exact same profile as Krondys. And then they also have the missile profile, the Breath Weapon, Blazing Tempest. It's the exact same as Krondys. For unique abilities, they give the -1 to enemy attack characteristics that targets this model. And what makes Krondys kind of different than, or not Krondys, excuse me, Karazai different from Krondys is every time this model destroys an enemy unit, you can apply the relevant buff. The big one is if you destroy an enemy hero or monster, you get +1 attack to your melee weapons for the end of the game. Really powerful, can definitely stack up fast, but your opponent has to have monsters or heroes that you destroy. If you destroy a unit that has a wound characteristic of 3+ but is not a hero or a monster, then you get +1 to run and charge for the end of the game. And if it is just infantry, like 1 to 2 wound things, then you just heal 1 wound. So a little underwhelming, but a little bit of sustain as well. And of course, they're dragon, they can fly. So Karazai, I think, is a little bit more underwhelming than Krondys, but they are a massive beat stick. They are just hugely powerful in melee combat. And if you can get some hero takedowns or some monster takedowns, they are going to get exponentially better with the additional attacks. They are only a combat tool, but they are a good one at that. So it's definitely something to consider. So that was my review of the Stormcast Big Dragons. These are some really, really fun models. I think if I had to pick my personal favorite, I would pick Krondys' War Scroll, but I do love the Scarred Dragon model itself. Krondys' rules are just better though, I think. But without further ado, I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. And if you like the content, consider subscribing. This has been the Wargrove of Woe, and I'll talk to you guys next time.